Hi guys, Dwayne from Dirt Devil RC Motorsports here. If you've been watching my channel for a little while now, you know that I don't normally make videos like this, but I thought it was time for a change. Try something a little different. Like many people in this amazing hobby of RC, I operate on a very small budget, and when I'm spending my money, it's normally on something that I see as necessary or important to my needs within the hobby. But before I get into what I'm going to do with today's video, I thought I'd give you a reason why I'm making it. Before I got into the RC hobby, I used to build 1/24 scale model cars. That's a hobby that requires you to focus on details and the detailing of the car to give you the effect that you want, the look you're looking for. I wanted to bring that over here to this hobby, to my RCs, to continue my focusing on the detail side of things. So what I'm going to show you today is how I add some realism to my cars on a tight budget. I'm going to show you how I make my own LED light kits for my RCs. Everything that I use today that you will see, I've bought either on eBay or from a local electronics store, and I've bought them in bulk. Doing this allows me to make many of these light kits for the cost of less than one of just the cheap generic ones that the light kits you pick up from eBay, Amazon, online RC stores, your local hobby shop. It enables me then to, one, save money, but two, also customize, make it all about me, put my personality and my thoughts of what the car should look like into the kit. So that said, if you want to make your own light kit, it's very simple, very basic. You only really need to know how to solder and know some basic electronics. And each light kit really is what you need to make it is dependent on the body that you're running and the look you're going for. What I normally do is, having worked out obviously where my LEDs are going within the confines of the car, is grab my wire, start with my positive, and work out the lengths I'm going to need, and the route I'm going to run the wires, so as I can save a little bit of extra wire there, because I can always junction in. So I always start with the longest piece and where it's going to run to in the car, given where my receiver is in the particular in my MST. I'm going to run my wires to the middle, so stop about there, give myself a bit of extra, and we'll cut it off. And I repeat this process for the negative and also for the rear of the car as I go. But what I would normally do now is continue with the red wires, because I'm working on the front of the car. Right, I'm going to have a return wire I'm going to have a positive wire from here to the center of the car. But rather than run another wire that same length, I'm just going to measure it back a little bit, have this wire here like so. Right, it's going to run its path. This wire from here, I'm going to run it back a little bit and junction it in there. Then all that wire I'm saving, Might only be a few cents worth of wire, but a few cents adds up. So cut this off over here, about there, give yourself a little bit of extra to play with. And that'll be all the positive wire I need for the front of my car. Now, do the same for the back. Now, with my negative wire, I normally try to run it up the opposite side of the car. Because the distances are basically the same that I'm covering, I always just use positive wires as a template. I can always just join them up in the same place. So there's one. Here's the main lead. It goes back to the center of the car. Click. And you repeat that obviously for the back of the car. But the one different thing is you've got a junction these wires together. You've got to, you know, rather than run another positive up the center of the car, you want to join these lights all together. So what I would do is I go measure across the car with my wire here to there. Get me clippers, give myself a little bit of extra so as I can tape it down to the car later. Cut it off. If I wanted to, I can grab this one, a little bit extra, clip it off, because I've got a junction, two lots of lights. Then I can go ahead and I can do the exact same thing across the back of the car. Make sure you get the right end of the LED. Always remember that the longest prong is positive, short one is negative. Grab the longest lead. Don't forget to tin the end. Like so. Line it up. That's that. Positive cable attached. Trim the negative. Grab your joining cable, it runs across the centre of the car. Here's one I prepared earlier. Strip the ends. Now the first job you've got to remember to do at this point, excuse me, is put 2 lots of heat shrink on this piece. Before you move to the next step. Put this in here. Tin the end. Now, grab your next LED. You've got to join that negative wire that you just did from your first LED here. Take it over. Identify your positive, obviously, the longest pin again. Don't need a resistor at this point because you've already got your resistance here. So, now take one of the short pieces that you cut off earlier. That's going to be a joining point. So as you go across the front of the car, it'll be like this. Put the short piece on here. Right, solder it there. So when I do the second set of lights, the 3mm lights, the longer negative will run off of that. So I'm going to, because I'm going to junction the positive, short positive here, and the short negative will come from here into the long negative on the 3mm LEDs. So we get our short one. Clean it up. Tin it. Like so. Get our LED. Trim it. Attach it like so. Right. Now, piece of red heat shrink. Another piece of black. Now you can use your heat gun if you've got one. I have one, but I haven't got it set up. I don't have the space whilst I'm recording this. So I'm just going to use the end of my soldering iron. That's the first set we did. That's the 5 mils. Here's the 3 mils. And what we do, we set them up opposite ways. So positive, negative. We bring our car over. Grab our 5 mils. They go in like so. Now there are some clips that obviously go into holding those in place. Grab our 3 mils. Like so. Now we grab our texter. I've got my Sharpie here. Now grab the long wire, make sure we hold the 5 mil in place. Drag the long wire back. Hold it down against the body of the car so as you get the correct length. Come back to about there. Drop the short wire. Grab your marker. Put a little mark here. Do the same over here on the negative side. Take our lights out of our car. We don't need the car for a little while. There's our mark. We get our hobby knife. And we score gently across the top. Making sure not to cut the wire. So what you want to do is you want to shave it down till you can see the wires inside there. And get your blade again. And sort of just trim around the wires to expose them. Trying not to break the wires. Because if you break the wires, you've got to start again. Or just try and solder them back together, perhaps. Alright. So job done there. Now, what you do now is you get your knife, slide it in between some of the strands, twist and separate, and create yourself a loop in the wire. I don't know how clear that is, but you create the loop in your wire. Then you get the positive wire from the second set of lights, wire strippers. Bring our soldering third hand back in. Put this in here like so. Put the end through the loop. If you can see that, I've put the end through the loop. Grab the extension, twist it to close the loop, then place it in your third hand. Get your soldering iron, making sure that that all stays together, otherwise it's going to fall apart. Loop that around there like that, perhaps. Like so. And we solder this together. Another piece of red heat shrink. Slide that down. Now when you put this piece of heat shrink on, don't go all the way over, just go over for over by a few millimeters, just enough to pinch those two wires there together. Like so. There you go, there's one side done. turn it around, 5mm on the bottom, 3mm on top, and you get your 3mm wire. Find your mark, there it is, same process. I've gone on ahead and put the loop in the wire, and I've arranged the wires the way they're going to be on the car. Obviously red through the middle, blue, orange. So what I do is, because the red light is going to be underneath the orange light, I come up through the bottom, through the loop, like so. So I'm coming up here. Alright, so that's the bottom of the lights, come up through the loop. Then I get my blue light and I feed that down through the loop. Now you don't have to do it this way, this is just the way I'm doing it. Making sure to hold the wires the way they're going to be traveling. Twist the loop closed. Wrap any loose ends of the wire around. Get me handy dandy third hand here. Close that up. Solder the wires. There we go. So nice solid solder. Same thing. And we get some larger diameter heat shrink, because you're now covering 3 wires on there. And again, like I said before, you don't go all the way down, because then you shorten your lengths. So come on, just a couple of millimeters, like so. Grab a hold of it, clean it off. Right. Shrink the end so as it grips those 3 wires. It shouldn't move then. Right, like so. And just shrink the rest of the wire. Alrighty, just putting the last of the lights in the car. There's a screw. There we go. That's all the lights in the car. So that now leaves me with 2 positives here, like so, and 2 negatives, like so. Now the next step is to get myself some heat shrink tube. I'll have to, oh no, there it is, some heat shrink tube. Grab a hold of your wires. Make sure that they run where you want them to run on the car, so down through the door pillars to about there. Grab your ends. Feed the heat shrink through here, like so. Feed the heat shrink in. Sorry if I'm off center, it's my first time doing this, the video thing. Alright, feed your wires in, like so. Now make sure that your wire, again, make sure your wires are down, running where you want them to. They're not pulled too tight. You don't have any big loops that is going to stick out and grab anything. Pull your wires through. Alright. Now, hold that where you want it. Heat shrink it. Just brings the wires together, makes them a little bit neater and a bit tidier under the car. I normally just put a couple of pieces in, one there, and then go along a little bit to maybe here. You know, no exact measurement, it's just a matter of where you feel comfortable, where you want it. Because I'll probably need another piece on here, because I've got to wire solder a small extension onto the ends. So we'll put another piece, say, about there. Right, now that it's all on there, make sure the wires aren't twisted too badly. Like so. Like that. Repeat that also for the positive side. For me, this is a sort of a therapeutic thing, sort of a break away from the world. Get down here into my little workshop, do what I need to do to just relax, get engrossed in my hobby. Yeah, brings a little bit of me to the hobby as well. You know, this hobby is all about the people and the personalities. It's not always about the cars. It's not about how much money you spend, or you know arguing about who's got the best and who, you know, what is the best. It's all about your own personal choices. So this is my personal choice here, is to make my own light kits. Why? When the alternative is to go out and buy one that has all sorts of features on it, I don't want the features. You know, that's my choice. I've decided that I don't need the features, because my car with the lights on, it's my choice. You know, everybody's got their own opinions, everybody's got their own options, their own choices. You know, it's a free world. It's a free hobby. This hobby is all about expressing yourself. Alright, so trim my wires off, like so. Get rid of them. Clean these off. Like so. Now, bring in my pre-wired JTS plug. Now, the reason I'm using this plug is because on my two cars, there will be, on my Yokomo there is currently, but my MST will have one eventually, a third channel on-off switch, operated by obviously the third channel button on my remote, because I don't use big fancy remotes. It's just an on-off switch yeah, these will plug into, and the lights will be, I'll be able to turn the lights on and off at will. Guys, this is my Yokomo YD2E. Don't mind the mess, I know what's going on, but for those of you who are interested, I'll explain it to you. Back here, this bunch of cables here, that's permanently attached to my receiver, which is down here. I've got two JTS plugs, because I've got a couple of other cars that require a couple of JTS plugs if I just want permanent light. This here is the main power cable, which plugs in down here to my on-off switch. I can also just, if I want to run, if I've got a couple of cars that just run a Futaba plug to run the lights, so that's what that's for. But that's my main power cable there for my on-off switch. Here's my on-off switch, just here. I don't need this extension, but I've got this extension for situations that, you know, where it might be required. So I'll plug my battery in, like so. Turn my radio on. Now the car's not going to be mounted correctly, because it's not going to be running on, oops, sorry. It's not going to be running on this chassis. This is my, I'm going to be, this one will be going on my MST chassis. So we plug our wires in, turn our car on. Like so. So it sits there, we'll get the turntable out. Make it easier for you to see. Turntable. Let's have a look. Right, so we'll move the camera a little bit for you so you can have a bit of a squeeze. Turn the lights off. Grab the radio. Alright, so no lights. Lights on. There you go. White and blue, and then back here. There's your other lights, like so. So yeah, that's how you do it. That's my quick, simple, and in many cases people would say crude light set. Done the way I want it done. Yeah, it saves me a few dollars here and there. Helps me get other projects done and out of the way. Helps my friends out. It's not the neatest job, I can probably improve that. But overall, let me know what you think. Maybe it's something you'd try at home.